I have to come with it all. I have to do more. Obviously, just to secure the win is doing just enough to get a draw. So I have to push harder. I have to train harder. I have to be more mean. I have to be more physical. I have to do a lot. I have to do everything just a little more. And I think that will definitely put me over.
Is it gonna be a rematch, or y'all still working on it, or what's the plan?
It's gonna be a rematch.
But it's not sealed to deliver yet.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Okay.
Tank Davis and Lamont Roach are set for a rematch, and this time, it will be even more intense than their first fight. Their last match was controversial, making both fighters even more determined to prove themselves. The fight is scheduled for June 21st in Las Vegas, and based on their energy, it won't be left to the judges. Tank has already warned Roach that he won't make it to the final rounds. But Roach is confident, saying he will beat Tank again.
But, yes, and after I beat him the second time, I probably would ask the WBA to let me go up to 140 and fight where I am.
Roach has openly shared his frustrations, especially about referee Willis. He believes Willis made several mistakes that affected the fight. Roach says Willis gave Davis extra time to recover after going down on one knee and ignored illegal moves in the corner. He feels he was unfairly robbed of a win.
We'll be getting that rematch. I think that's really big, man. If we do get that rematch on June the 21st, I believe that'll be big news. I believe that'll be big, man. So if we can get that fight, man, that would be...
No way. He can't referee the next fight, Roach said angrily. It is what it is, but look at how many times he messed up the fight, like the knee and Davis going to the corner for help. He didn't directly say Davis cheated, but he insisted that Davis got unfair help from the referee. You can't do that. It's a disqualification.
Cares, like, sweat won't get in your eye, blood won't get in your eye, spit for going to get in your eye. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like you can be like, all right, time out, ref. Hold on, ref. Can't do that, bro.
Would you be cool with Steve Willis doing the next fight?
Hell no.
He can't do the next fight.
No, he can't do the next fight.
Roach and his team even filed a petition with the NYSAC, hoping to change the fight's result. But it was quickly denied. With no other options, Roach focused on getting a rematch. Now, the fight is almost official. I'm telling you right now, I'm signed and ready, Roach confirmed, making it clear that all that's left is for Davis to do the same.
Rematch right now. Roach Tank, Haney Garcia.
Roach Tank. I mean, first of all, Tank. First of all, Tank is just bigger than Haney and Ryan both. And recency bias, that just happened. Haney was last year. This just happened. More people, like Haney didn't get a song. Well, he did get a song. But that's what I'm saying. His song is dead or dying out. Tank's is popping. Like, it's Tank's time right now. Tank is in our mind more than Haney.
On the other hand, Davis has stayed quiet. Unlike Roach, he hasn't gone on media rants or blamed anyone. Instead, he's focused completely on training, shutting out distractions and preparing with intense dedication. People in his camp say he has taken the criticism seriously and is using it as motivation. He knows what people are saying, said Calvin Ford. That's why he's not messing around this time. No distractions, no outside noise. He's coming to make a statement. Davis recently broke his silence, making it clear that he doesn't plan to let the fight go to the judges. I'm not letting this one go the distance, he said. This time, I'm closing the show.
I definitely could have. That was on me, too. That was on me for sure. Because I didn't pick it up when I was supposed to pick it up. And I could have definitely did more. Definitely did more. He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow.
The WBA has already announced that the rematch must happen, meaning Davis has to accept the fight or risk losing his title. But even if the belt wasn't at stake, Tank made it clear he's taking the fight no matter what. He's not worried about rules or technicalities. He just wants to prove himself. In his mind, Roach was lucky to make it to the final bell last time, and this time he plans to finish the job. Roach, however, is confident he can win. He believes he saw weaknesses in Davis's style, took advantage of them early, and forced the champion to adjust.
12.
He got decent power. He got decent power for sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told you I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. Like, I think that's what negated a lot of his shots. And once I took his best shot, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to roll.
Roach's movement, counterpunching, and discipline made the fight competitive. In his mind, he did enough to win. But he also knows that Davis's power is a serious threat, and avoiding it for 12 rounds won't be easy. Negotiations for the rematch have moved quickly, with both sides eager to fight again. Roach's promoter, Gary Jonas, confirmed they're just waiting for the final paperwork. But the fight is basically set. With Las Vegas as the stage and the controversy from the first fight still fresh, this rematch is expected to be an even bigger event.
Everyone's mind, how close is the rematch? How big will it be? How close is it to getting done?
Very close. It's in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, but it's a done deal, and it's not far off. I can't give you more than that right now, but what I can tell you is that it's going to be an interesting fight. I think you got dynamics. You've got Gervonta, who's probably going to be angry, probably woken up, probably more focused than he has been. Not talking about retirement. That's a factor.
Roach is confident but careful. He knows Davis is a tough opponent, but he still believes he can outbox him. In Roach's opinion, the biggest problem in their last fight wasn't Davis, it was the referee. He wants a fair fight with a neutral referee because he believes that will prove he is the better fighter. Davis, however, sees things differently. He thinks Roach was just trying to survive, not actually winning. Davis never felt he was in danger and believes Roach spent more time avoiding punches than fighting. That's why this time, Davis plans to be more aggressive. He wants a knockout and is making sure everyone knows it.
He was coming up a weight.
Right.
And coming up a weight, and you're fighting immediately at the head of the class. And what you and Cannon have taught me about weight classes they are important. They are in place for a reason. So don't just sit here and just act like he was just like that. Now, he came out there and fought an amazing fight. He had an amazing game plan, and I immediately really want...
This ain't going 12, Davis said. I'm ending this early. Watch me. But in the middle of all this, Terrence Crawford has stepped in to add more heat. Crawford has been taking shots at Tank Davis, not in the ring, but through the media. He keeps saying that Roach was robbed and that Tank should have lost. This time, he went even further, hitting Tank where it hurts. Crawford wants Davis to fight Shakur Stevenson on the undercard of his September 13th fight against Canelo Alvarez. Just like that, he's back in the headlines. But is this really about boxing? Or is Crawford just taking another dig at Tank?
If Tank was got some hockey to be on Terrence Crawford undercard, that would be better. But I don't see Tank taking the back seat to no fighting. I don't know, but it should be a good undercard.
Crawford knows exactly what he's doing by suggesting that Tank should be on his undercard. He's trying to make it look like Davis isn't the real face of boxing, as if Tank needs his event for exposure. But let's be real, who actually needs who here? If anything, Crawford could use Tank to bring more attention to his own fight. Tank doesn't need to be on anyone's undercard, his fights sell on their own. On the other hand, Crawford's pay-per-view history isn't that great. Aside from his fight with Errol Spence, most of his PPV events have flopped. Even with Canelo, there's a real chance that the fight won't be as big as he's hoping. For
Gervonta Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that moving up 2 weight classes, and, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin, so tell him come and touch it.
Wow.
Crawford isn't just questioning Tank's status, he's also challenging his pride. He said that if Tank wasn't so stubborn about not fighting on his undercard, it would be a great move. In other words, he's suggesting that Tank's ego is stopping him from making a smart business decision. But would Crawford ever fight on Tank's undercard? Of course not. That's why this sounds more like a diss than a serious offer. Crawford is trying to get a reaction out of Tank, and let's be honest, he probably will. The tension between them has been growing for a while. Crawford has taken plenty of shots at Tank before, even calling Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis the best lightweights in boxing, completely ignoring Tank's achievements.
I was telling Bud, either you or Keyshawn's gonna get Tank, dog.
Crawford has acted like Tank isn't even part of the conversation. But let's not forget, this is the same Gervonta Tank Davis who has knocked out 28 of his 31 opponents, sold out arenas, and broken pay-per-view records. The same Tank who made Ryan Garcia quit with a body shot. Yet, according to Crawford, Lamont Roach is the only fighter who came close to beating Tank. In reality, Crawford, like many others, believes Roach actually won. That's why he's convinced Tank is in for a beating in the rematch. But why is Crawford acting like Tank has something to prove? Maybe because deep down, he knows Tank is the bigger star. And for a guy who considers himself one of the best, pound-for-pound fighters, that has to sting. Crawford might be undefeated, but he hasn't built the same global fan base as Tank. Now, as he moves up to fight Canelo, he realizes he needs all the star power he can get.
How you feel about that fight? Is it even possible at a catch weight?
There ain't no catch weight. You come up to 47.
Not even entertaining a catch weight.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
What champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here with a big boy.
All right.
The truth is, a Tank versus Shakur fight isn't happening anytime soon, and it's not just about pride, it's about business. Shakur is a skilled fighter, but he isn't a big draw. His style doesn't excite casual fans, and Tank has made it clear that any fight he takes needs to be worth it. Let's be real, Shakur isn't pulling in huge pay-per-view numbers. On the other hand, a rematch with Ryan Garcia? Now that's a money fight. If Tank is weighing his options, why would he choose Shakur when he could have another massive payday against Ryan?
Gestor asks, what's the potential matchup in boxing you would like to see next?
I would like to see Shakur versus Devin or Shakur versus Tank. Those are the two big fights that I would like to see next.
Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Who wins that fight right now?
Shakur. Shakur.
Wow.
And let's not forget the bigger issue. Crawford and Tank don't even fight in the same division. Crawford is moving up to 168 for this fight, far beyond Tank's weight class. So why is he even talking about Tank? Many believe it's because he knows Tank is the real star. Mentioning Tank's name guarantees attention, but it's a risky move. If he keeps poking at Tank, it won't be long before Tank fires back. And if there's one thing we know about Gervonta Davis, it's that he never holds back.
People want to discredit Tank as he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just off night, or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. Everyone has a night. Boxing.
Orlando Romero believes Gervonta Davis will make the right changes to win the rematch against Lamont Roach. In an interview with The Ring, he said Roach surprised everyone with his performance, even himself. However, Romero is sure that Davis won't let that happen again. He reminded everyone that Davis is a 3-division world champion and one of the best fighters of this era. In his view, the rematch is necessary because the first fight left too many unanswered questions.
From what I've seen in the fight, I thought Lamont won, and I think the commission does need to do something with that knee, because if they don't, then all of us are going to think we can take a knee anytime we want. You know, they got to do something about it. I mean, they did something about me, you got to do something about other people. You know, rules are rules, right? It's, you know, I like Tank though, personally, but a rule is a rule. You can't go and take a knee and then just expect not to be knocked down. You can't get away with it, stuff like that.
You say one foot in boxing and one foot out.
But some people aren't sure that just making adjustments will be enough. Many believe Roach didn't just have a good night, he exposed weaknesses in Davis's style. Some think Davis's struggles weren't just because he underestimated Roach, but because he might not be as dominant as people thought. Roach proved he could handle Davis's power, push forward, and make him uncomfortable. If Davis couldn't knock Roach out the first time, why should it be any different in the rematch? Ryan Garcia, however, is fully backing Davis. Speaking to ES News, He admitted that Davis probably thought the fight would be easier. He believes Davis expected Roach to fold under pressure, and when that didn't happen, it threw him off. But Garcia expects a different Davis in the rematch, one who is fully prepared. In his opinion, Davis wins this time simply by taking Roach more seriously.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach the victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right, to keep the integrity of the sport. So I feel like you're gonna.
Garcia has his own history with Davis, and some fans think his support is more personal than objective. If Davis wins, it makes Garcia's loss to him look better. But if Roach has another strong performance, it raises doubts about how good Davis really is. That's why Garcia will be watching closely, especially since a future rematch with Davis is still possible. However, Garcia is also focused on his own career. He's set to fight Rolando Romero at Times Square in May. If he wins, a rematch with Devin Haney could happen next, which might eventually lead to another fight with Tank.
Y'all, what's going on over there with the fight? I just rewatched it. Just literally rewatched it. Seriously. Wow. Yeah, highway robbery is right. Highway robbery is right. Like, can't make this.
Tim Bradley, on the other hand, doesn't believe Davis deserved the draw. After rewatching the fight, he changed his scorecard. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Bradley focused on the moment Davis took a knee. He didn't hold back, calling it a clear knockdown. He pointed out that Davis got hit, took a knee, and then tried to claim something was in his eye. Bradley wasn't buying that excuse. He reminded everyone that fighters can't call their own timeouts in boxing. It's up to the referee to step in if there's an issue. Bradley also mentioned that if Davis's braids were bothering him, that was his own problem. He chose to wear them, so he had to deal with the consequences.
Is the fight a fight that should be on pay-per-view?
Hell no, bro. You like almost a 30-year-old prospect, dog. Fight the best. Fight Shakur. Oh, he trying to fight Lomachenko at the end. I already know what everybody.
Bradley went on to say that after rewatching the fight, he now sees it as a clear win for Roach. He scored it either 7-5 or even 8-4 in Roach's favor. He made it clear that he wasn't trying to disrespect Davis, he just felt Roach outworked him. In Bradley's opinion, Davis wasn't active enough, and Roach controlled more of the fight than people initially realized.
But just couldn't be D1. He's a D2 player. And I was showing love to Lamont and saying that he's a D2 player simply because he's not at the level that Tank is at.
But he's scoring the same amount of points as D2.
But when you put them on the court in a one-on-one, say again?
Why can't he be mid-major? Why he gotta be D2?
I want to make it significant, you know what I mean? Like,
not everyone agrees with Bradley. Sean Porter, speaking on the Porter Way podcast, defended the draw. He acknowledged that many people believe Roach won, but he urged them to rewatch the fight before making a final judgment. Porter pointed out that just because Davis wasn't in control the whole time doesn't mean he lost every close round. He originally scored the fight as a draw and still stands by that decision.
the fact that Lamont Roach is as familiar with Tank Davis as he is, it goes beyond them fighting in the amateurs. They've spent time in camp together. He's been around Tank. He's seen Tank up close and personal, whether he's in the ring with them or not. That matters. When you know a guy's rhythm, when you know their speed, when you know what they're thinking, that changes everything, you know? Saying all this to say that because I know I got a lot of people, it don't matter. When he get hit, he go.
Porter did admit that Roach fought. A great fight. He said that if Roach had been given the win, he wouldn't have argued. However, he also made it clear that if Roach had lost outright, he would have had a problem with that decision, especially because of the knockdown. In his view, the knockdown was legitimate, and Davis was lucky it didn't have a bigger impact on the final score.
I think in the rematch, I don't see it being, what'd you say, the rematch where he got knocked out? Charlo against Harrison?
Yeah.
I don't see it being like that. I feel like Lamont Roach is going to start the pressure earlier, and he's still going to be ready.
These different opinions show just how controversial the fight was. Some believe Davis was lucky to get a draw, while others think the result was fair. One thing is certain, Davis is under pressure to prove himself in the rematch. If he wins convincingly, he can silence the critics. But if Roach pushes him to the limit again, or even wins, it could hurt Davis's reputation as one of the top fighters in the sport.
That fight with Tank and Lamont Roach shows y'all how protected Tank has been for the past several years. And the people saying, oh, Tank know Lamont and he disrespected Lamont because they fought in the amateur, man, he was cherry picking Lamont. You know, and really thought
The fight between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach made people question how carefully Tank has been managed over the years. Some say he picked Roach because they knew each other from the amateurs, but others believe he underestimated Roach and got surprised. Many think Tank has been protected by only fighting opponents who weren't skilled or strong enough to test him. Now that Roach stood up to him, people are wondering if Tank is really as dominant as everyone believed. The rematch will help answer these doubts. If Tank wins clearly, it will prove that the first fight was just a bad night for him. But if he struggles again or even loses, it could change how people see him in boxing. Tank knows this fight is important, so he is expected to come in with a completely different mindset this time. What do you think? Share your thoughts below and stay tuned for more updates.